Hello, I'm Laura Kelly, and welcome to POCCA Cape Cod. This is LCTV, Lower Cape Television, brought to you by Nauset High School here in Eastham. POCCA stands for Protect Our Cape Cod Aquifer, an organization I've created because we've really got to do more than just protect our natural resources. It's time to actually learn how to preserve them. Hi, I'm the 11th generation born and raised here on Cape Cod, and I'm getting more involved with the community here, sharing valuable information, at least that I've found, for everybody. And so today's topic is going to be about what is going on across our Cape Cod Bay with the Pilgrim Power Plant. My guest today is Diane Turco. Hello, Diane.
Hi, Laura. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. This really means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
I've joined the Cape Downwinders about a year ago, and it really opened my eyes up to more of what's going on. I got introduced to it because I heard the word tritium, and I didn't know what it meant. What is it doing to our waters, our fish, our oysters, ourselves, So I kind of joined this club, I thought, and it's really a beautiful organization. People get together every other week, every other Wednesday, the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. And I have found more, I'm going to even use the word thrill, in working with these people because they actually do things. They're, volunteering to step up and stand up and help us all in this situation. And Diane is one of the co-founders and just my inspiration. You are one of the strongest people I've ever met.
Oh, thank you.
Seriously,
Thank you.
I really look up to you, and what you're trying to do is huge, benefits all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us how you got involved with the Cape Downwinders?
Well, back in '88, when Boston Edison owned the Pilgrim nuclear power reactor, there was a situation where it was shut down for 2 years, and on the restart, all of the elected officials, our senators, Governor Dukakis, Gary Studs, all of these elected officials said, don't restart, we can't provide for public safety. And the Nuclear Regulatory Commission ignored them all and restarted Pilgrim. And I was appalled that the people were saying, no, don't restart, and these are legitimate reasons why,
right.
And they were ignored. So since then I've been following the issue, and I'm still appalled that people don't have a say in their own safety. Fukushima blew away the myth that nuclear power is safe. And I think people understand now that the reactor right on Cape Cod Bay is the same General Electric Mark I boiling water reactor that was at Fukushima.
Did you hear that? It's the same age. They even call them sisters, right?
Well, it's the same failed design.
Mm-hmm. Same failed design.
Mm-hmm.
And how old is it now? 42
Yeah, it's on
years?
its 42nd year
old.
of operation. Mm-hmm.
And it was only supposed to last for
40 years.
40
mm-hmm.
years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it really perturbs me, because do you have any products in your house that are still working, in working order, that are over 40 years
mm-hmm.
old?
Mm-hmm. And I understand that Pilgrim isn't really susceptible to a cyber attack because it's all analog. That's how old it is. All right, so we know
sitting there having to push the buttons, move it, really?
As equipment gets old, it ages and it fails. But the Mark I boiling water reactor design was a failed design when it was being constructed. And actually, 3 General Electric engineers resigned over the fact that the containment structure is too small for the vessel in the event of a severe accident. So the Nuclear Regulatory Commission itself determined that there's a 90% chance of failure of the containment if there's a severe accident. So when you look at Fukushima, it was not an accident. It was a prediction that came true. The engineers knew the containment wouldn't hold, and all the backup systems failed.
Oh, that's crazy.
So we have this reactor right on Cape Cod Bay. We also know too that it was relicensed in the year 2012 over the objections of Governor Patrick, Representative Keating, Attorney General Coakley, Dan Wolf, and Dan Wolf was continually outspoken to close the reactor because of public safety, and Sarah Peake also. But it was relicensed anyways. And even the chair of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, Gregory Yazko, voted against the relicense of Pilgrim because there were some public health and safety concerns that had not been addressed. And you would think that a vote to relicense a 40-year-old reactor would be so important that it would be a unanimous vote. But it wasn't. So he had concerns about public health and safety, and even the chairman was overridden by 4 other votes.
Wow.
Yeah. So
this is a sad, sad situation. This is our reality, everybody. This is what's happening across our bay.
Right. Right. So I don't know if I could take a minute just
Please.
to explain why this is so serious. And we take a lot of our information from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission or the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, which I'll say is MEMA for short.
Right, MEMA.
But the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has determined after 3 Mile Island, when they asked pregnant women and children to leave, and over 150,000 people evacuated the area, they realized, whoa, a severe accident could happen.
Yeah.
And people would leave, and it was chaos. So they put into place an emergency planning zone plan. And the first zone is a 10-mile inhalation pathway. And so that's 0 to 10 miles from the reactor out. And the first plan is to evacuate, to get out of there because you are in imminent deadly danger from inhalation of radioactive particles that would be released in an accident. And just a postscript, there's no safe dose of radioactive materials, and they cause cancer. And this is so serious. So for the 10 miles, evacuate. Then I'm just going to go right out to the 50 miles, which includes all of Cape Cod. It also includes Boston and Providence.
Oh, wow.
This is a 50-mile ingestion pathway zone. And the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has said this area needs to be protected from eating foodstuffs that have the radioactive particles on them, or protecting farm animals and putting them in a concrete building so they don't become contaminated.
For how long?
But again, too, that's a good question. How long would that be? And number 2 is, do they think we're all going to be dodging the radionuclides that are falling in a particle cloud on top of us, but animals are protected? So that's the 50-mile zone. And as you know, on Cape Cod, there's only the 2 bridges will be closed because the people from Plymouth have to come down Route 3 along the canal and up exit Route 495 to leave the area. And there'd be a jam of traffic if people tried to get off from the Cape, which leaves us trapped. There is no escape from the Cape in the event of a radiological accident at Pilgrim. And that's what people on the Cape are beginning to understand. There's no escape, and we are acceptable collateral damage to the corporate profits of Entergy Corporation on Cape Cod Bay. That is unconscionable and criminal.
Absolutely.
So because of that, everybody on the Cape has the opportunity to go to their public health department and pick up a pill from their public health department. This is potassium iodide. And the plan for this is you're supposed to take it before you're exposed to a radioactive plume, because radioactive iodine will be one of the radionuclides that come down. It would uptake into your thyroid and cause thyroid cancer, particularly pregnant women in the fetus, in young children. And babies.
Yeah.
They're most susceptible to this. So you can go get your potassium iodide pill, but you know, if you're
free.
really for free, yes.
How long does it last? 24
Um,
hours.
I think it's 24 hours and you get 2 pills.
I get 2.
The issue here is, if you really think about this, what corporation provides the public a medication if they mess up? That's horrible.
I know, right?
It's horrible. But you know what? Make sure you have them at least for your children.
So a quick question on this. My question to you about this is, can you buy these, can you get more than 2?
I think you can go to CVS.
You can get a health food store.
You can get them online.
Do you know what it consists of?
It's a salt. It's
It's a
basically a salt. Yeah, yeah. And it floods your thyroid so that you don't uptake
And don't you
the
think we should
radioactive
have
iodine.
a month or 2-month supply for everybody in your house, your loved ones?
You've got, I think it's 2 pills per person.
I know, but don't you
Right.
want to, would you suggest getting a month's supply?
That's what I would suggest is people fight to close Pilgrim.
Right.
Because they shouldn't be, what should be happening is we shouldn't be preparing for a threat. We should remove the threat.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's
Exactly.
Cape Downwinder's stance is remove the threat. So we know that we're in an emergency planning zone. We know we're a population at risk because we have these pills. So we had a demonstration at the bridge, and we said no escape from the Cape. And the Massachusetts Emergency Management folks said, wait a minute, the bridges are going to be open. And we said, not what we understand. I've been doing this since the 80s.
Yeah.
I said, can you share the plans with us so we understand? Maybe we're confused, but not what I think. So we ended up getting the plan book. And I'll just share this with folks who are watching. This is one of the pages from the MEMA plan book of what's going to happen to Cape Cod towns here. This is from one of the pages. This was from 2004, and it's up to current time.
Okay.
This is Route 6 going west,
Yeah.
right towards the bridge.
Yeah.
This is Route 130,
Yeah.
exit 2, blocked.
Oh my gosh.
Blocked. Nobody's
Right
getting
there.
off the bridges, and you're going to be thrown into Sandwich. So I contacted the Sandwich Fire,
right
Police,
there.
and Emergency Planners and said, what's going to happen when everybody goes into your town? They had never seen these maps.
Oh my
Same in Bourne. There's maps of Bourne where the Rotary's going to be blocked, and townspeople are not going to be able to get onto 495.
Right there, it's blocked
And,
there, and it's blocked there, so you can't go around.
Right.
You can't go out.
Right. So,
Amazing.
so that's the plan. So there is no escape from the
There
Cape.
is no plan.
So the Barnstable County Emergency Planning Committee has been working on this. They're a great group of folks, the fire chiefs, police chief, and emergency planners on the Cape, and I have so much respect for them. Well, they invited the director of MEMA to come and speak in Harwich on October 8th, 2012, to explain what the plan was. And Director Kurt Schwartz, you might see him whenever there's a blizzard. He's always standing next to the governor with the vest on. He came down and he spoke with chilling honesty about what was going to happen. So I'd like to play a 3-minute audio version of what he said is going to happen on Cape Cod. I'll set this up. He had a map of the 50-mile EPZ. So what he's talking about is what's happening in our area.
Great.
Okay?
And can you tell us who this is again?
This is Director Kurt Schwartz from the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency. He's explaining to us what's going to happen to people on Cape Cod if there's a radiological accident
Thank you.
at Pilgrim.
Now, people that are in this area
Good job.
are at risk of ingestion danger, which is a long time, this comes from a long time exposure. It does not come from having been in there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day. It comes from, but there is a very significant and deadly risk from long-term ingestion of radioactive materials. So, if this were our incident, what would we have done as the state? In the immediate hours, we would have worked to evacuate people that were within 10 miles to minimize the inhalation risk. Over the next number of days, we would have mapped this area, and once we had identified this area, we would then issue a relocation order and order anyone within this area to leave the area. And we would enforce that order. This is not an evacuation. An evacuation is an emergency, quick, get-out-of-town order, which says, get in your car and get the hell out of town because there's an imminent danger. This is not an evacuation. This is a relocation. It is not urgent. We have the time to plan it, and what we did in this drill and what we would do in real life is identify all of the roads and the major roads. We worked with local and state police and the Department of Transportation. We would seal off all of the roads in and out. We would send people into these areas with protective clothing and help everybody relocate out. We would move animals, anything living, we would move out. And the unfortunate reality, which is what Fukushima faces today, is that this area may well be closed to anyone for years to come.
Yeah, that's Director Kurt Schwartz speaking about what is going to happen on Cape Cod.
Oh, what a shame, huh? I
Just
can't
like at
believe it.
Fukushima, this area may be well closed to anyone for years to come.
Like 10
A
years.
dead zone, no, a dead zone, like at Chernobyl, where people cannot return. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Can you imagine? Entergy Corporation is making a profit which I understand is $1 million a day, producing electricity that we don't need on Cape Cod Bay
Pilgrim?
to our at Pilgrim to the risk to us, our environment, and our whole beautiful Cape Cod. It's unconscionable.
This is so sad.
So
now, if it's shut down, will anybody lose electricity?
the ISO said that there's enough on the grid, but we also say too is, well, actually the ISO says that Pilgrim produces 5% of the fuel mix from Massachusetts into the grid. So they can't say that we're getting 10% of our electricity or whatever, but there's other, they have other sources of electricity. But this is a huge public safety issue.
Right.
So I don't even think we can talk about electricity. I'd rather have a candle than have the threat
I agree.
of losing everything.
I agree, but there are people that
yes,
say,
yes.
well, if I'm going to lose my electricity,
Yeah, no,
blah,
you're
blah,
not
blah,
gonna
blah,
lose the
blah.
electricity.
And I just want to
Actually-
make sure that that's...
Actually, Pilgrim was down a lot last year, if you remember. It had more shutdowns than any reactor in the United States last year, and even in the middle of the summer with the heat, there was no blackouts or brownouts.
You
It
want
was
to talk
okay.
about that? So the temperature level can only be up to 75
Right,
degrees.
right.
And it was at 74.5, and they
Right.
still wouldn't turn it off. I was like, God.
Well, they did eventually power down a little, but just like what usually happens is Entergy applied to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to change the regulations to up the acceptable temperature of the bay to 80 degrees. So you see, there's a whole history of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission changing the regulations to meet the needs of the industry.
What a shame.
Mhm. Yeah.
What a shame. That's just unfair.
So
That's
the
completely
nuclear
unfair.
regulatory-
And
yeah.
how many gallons of water does it take a day to cool?
I think 510 million gallons of water
Did you hear that
is
number? I can't even fathom what
pumped
that
through
looks
the
like.
reactor, and then it's shot
That's
back into the
huge.
bay. Yeah.
500 million gallons
Of
of
water.
water.
Mhm.
It is needed to cool
Mhm.
the reactor every single day. That's fish.
Right.
That's our bay. That
Yeah.
is our bay.
Yeah.
That's what's going on every single
mhm,
day. This
mhm.
thing has to be shut down.
Right. And the issue with Fukushima too was that there was this earthquake that knocked out the electricity, and then the tsunami knocked out the backup generators.
Yeah, I was just going to talk
The main issue about Fukushima was the loss of electricity to cool the reactor core and the spent fuel pools. We lost electricity in the 2012 blizzard, and that could happen any time. So it's a serious issue, and also the spent fuel pool. That's another danger. The spent fuel pool is in the in the attic of the reactor, and it was designed to hold 880 assemblies temporarily because the federal government was going to build a repository to take all this waste. But because that never happened, the NRC changes the rules. Well, you can add more and more and more. Now there's over 3,200 tightly, densely packed spent fuel assemblies in that pool. And Dr. Gordon Thompson did a study for the Attorney General's office during the relicensing process. And he said that is an imminent danger, that there could be a spontaneous fire that couldn't be put out. It would cause $488 billion in damage, 24,000 latent cancers, and contaminate hundreds of miles downwind. And that pool is sitting right there like a sitting duck. It doesn't have any real roof over it. It's outside the main containment structure. It's serious. And again, too, the industry is trying to have the rules, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, it's called waste confidence, to allow the waste, once it's decommissioned, to be in that pool for 60 years. But you know, when we go back to, can public safety be assured? That's Cape Downwinder's major question. You know, Senator Markey even said the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has abdicated its responsibility to ensure public health and safety because the Nuclear Regulatory Commission didn't even follow their own technical staff's recommendations for filtered vents after Fukushima. Lessons
Well,
learned,
as
yeah.
you can tell, there's a lot of
There's a
things
lot.
going wrong with this situation right here at home. What is it that we can do to help?
Well, you know, I think stay informed. Go to the Cape Downwinders website. We have a lot of information there. You know, it's the 9th worst operating reactor in the country. It's the 8th vulnerable from water by terrorists, and it's the 2nd most vulnerable in the country for earthquakes.
Oh my gosh,
So this is already
crazy.
documentation on the NRC, but go to our website. We are asking people to, you know, contact their legislators and support them. Now, we're very lucky to have Dan Wolf and Sarah Peake.
Thank you.
Yes, we have asked, I know this might be broadcast later, but as of today, we have asked Congressman Keating to amend the Atomic Energy Act to allow states to have authority over public safety. Right now, Our governor can't close the reactor, and our senators can't close the reactor because it's federal preemption according to the 1954 Atomic Energy Act. So, you know, not only is our health and our safety threatened, but our democracy. When people try to make change and they're preempted by an old federal law that gives control to the NRC. So, you know, we always say that an informed democracy makes responsible decisions. So that's one thing that can happen that could really make a change, is if Representative Keating initiates amending the Atomic Energy Act to allow the states to have power over public safety.
Wow,
Yeah.
great, great. Well, this has been a lot of information in a short amount of time. Thank you for coming and for being here, and for all of us to get involved. We meet on Wednesday nights at the Hyannis Library at 5 o'clock. That's the second and fourth Wednesday of every single month. Please come and join us. Just show up, bring a pad of paper. It lasts 2 hours. You can't bring any coffee, and it's the library. We've tried. But this is a working group. We really have now assembled together different things that we can do, whether legislative, political, and media. We really need to get out in the media, get people to be informed, to give people things to do on this topic. Go ahead.
And also, too, I think they put up Chairman Allison McFarlane's phone number. She's the chair of the NRC. Give her a call and say, close Pilgrim.
Yeah.
There's no escape from the Cape. That public health and safety is their mandate, and they need to follow that.
And I have met a chief scientist of, let's see, it's Scott Smith, pardon me, of waterdefense.org, who has offered to test for radiation here in our Cape Cod Bay, but that's going to take some funding. So if you would like to donate, we really need it. Now is the time. Scott is available, willing, and able, which is huge. But the funding is about $1,000 to, you know, there are many different things from tritium. I don't even know all the words. So it's going to be a series of tests. So if you would be so kind, please go to capetownwinders.org, and, you know, we all can do our part, and together we can actually make a difference. So thank you very much for putting together Cape Downwinders, for being our powerhouse.
We have a good team. We have a great team of people working, because there's no escape from the Cape, and people understand.
Yeah.
We need to step up and speak out.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of, you know, there's a T-shirt now going around that says "Swim East," you know. But thank you for joining us today with POCCA Cape Cod here at LCTV. I'm Laura Kelly, and next and upcoming episodes will be filtration systems for your homes. I'm actually talking about mosquitoes and ticks and how we can deter them in natural ways. So I'm really trying to think of, you know, things maybe outside the box that matter to all of us, that really can help protect our aquifer, because we all live here, we all drink the same water, and every single day we can make a difference. So thanks for joining. Be well.